On this episode of RVA Real Estate Talk, we talk about how to convert all those internet leads that you're bringing in.
You're listening to RVA Real Estate Talk with Jared Davis and Galen Parker, your source for an honest, insightful look into Central Virginia's real estate market. Combined, Jared and Galen have over 20 years of experience in real estate, as well as hundreds of testimonials from clients past and present who rely on them for advice and assistance buying and selling a home in today's incredibly hot and competitive housing market. And now, your hosts, Jared Davis and Galen Parker.
I am Jared Davis.
And I am still Galen Parker.
I just realized and found out that Galen is blind. My best friend cannot see. I mean, we're sitting here trying to record this podcast, and we're starting our timer over here. It's literally...
I just took a picture of it
9 feet
so that
away.
everyone can see it. Like Mike's like sitting right in front of me. He's like, you can't see the thing that's right in front of my face.
This is crazy.
Jared's 8 feet closer than I am.
Can I get off of my camera and walk to his camera and look at this? Am I allowed to do
You
that?
guys can tell I'm in the cheap seats. My table doesn't work. It got a little tiny. It's like I can barely see Mike at this point.
All right.
God, that's
Tell me what number it
giant.
is. Tell me what it is.
Come on. Right now it's 4650.
Oh. All right.
no clue.
What does that say? What does that say?
Ooh, that one's small.
I have no clue.
If I didn't have all the lights in here.
Okay.
Mine's at was it 59? Now something's at 47. Something just turned to 47.
Oh my God. All right. Well, you know what we're shooting for now, so we should be able to do that. Let me get back into my position. Get my audio back.
Position. Oh man,
I'm
excited
making
for this
the
week.
doctor's appointment right now for him.
What's
I don't
that?
trust doctors.
Yeah.
I don't trust doctors.
That's really bad. All right.
I don't trust
Why
doctors.
this week? What's happening?
Because this week we are taking the team on a field trip to ZZQ.
So for those that don't know, ZZQ is the greatest barbecue.
Texas Craft Barbecue, Richmond, Virginia, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, if you're listening and you're in Virginia, you need to go to ZZQ if you haven't been.
And I don't want to hear any posts like, "Ew, I like Bills and Nans. Ew, I like Virginia barbecue." Ew. Stop it. You're embarrassing yourself. It's so annoying. Anytime I bring them, like, they're like, "Oh, what about Mission?" I was like, "I got a mission for you. Go to ZZQ."
Yeah.
And I was like, good grief.
Have you been to Q before? And you're
You're
like,
Q is actually better than the other ones. It's like, but
Yeah,
Q
yeah.
is not even close
Not
to
even.
ZZQ.
like if ZZQ is a 10, then what's Q?
6.
Yeah.
And then everything else is like 2s and 3s.
I'm really surprised Q Barbecue is still around.
I actually don't mind Q.
Really? Why?
Like you,
Why is
like
that?
you said.
I just don't think.
Do you like it better? You like
No.
Mission better?
If I had a choice of quickness, like needed something now for barbecue, I would probably do Mission.
I would
Okay.
I would rather go to Taco Bell and get a barbecue burrito than go to Mission.
Man,
I'd rather eat the McRib from McDonald's.
Ooh, have they?
than
Has
eat
that
Is
come
it
back
back?
anytime?
Is it
Mission.
back?
I don't know. I haven't had it in like 15
I was gonna
years.
say, has that come back anytime recently?
That'd be, hey, the next food fight. Next food fight. Here we go. Who's got the best fast food barbecue?
Hey.
All right.
Barbecue food fight?
is there that many?
There's enough for 5. The problem is if we start with ZZQ, it's going to be downhill.
I mean, I
So
was
we have to do the others
We're
subjectively.
about to have another Bellacina incident. But it's going to be Galen Parker. He's like,
I feel like it's a little
like,
biased already.
Trash. This is trash.
It's a little biased already, isn't it? I mean,
No, I mean ZZQ wins. If we're not doing a competition
Yeah, it's not
between the
a-
5, because it's not. ZZQ is like up here. Everything else is down here.
So we
I
don't
went to
do-
Michigan,
you
got
don't
their
do ZZQ.
greens, and I just remember eating them and thinking like, oh yeah, I know what canned greens taste like. And I was like, that's how I was like, oh yeah, that's the canned greens. At least when you go to like Q, you get the greens, you're like, okay, this is actual like greens to me.
Yeah, so we're gonna take the about half of the team probably there
everybody.
for a field trip. We've got some mortgage
Only the
partners
closers.
come in and that's not true.
Kidding, guys.
That's not
Oh,
true. Not
kidding.
true.
Only the people who actually responded to the message.
that is
That is
true.
very
That
true.
is the ones that
The
reply.
people who respond to messages are often.
Producing.
Oh, hey. I'm not saying. No. I'm not saying. We're not saying there's no correlation between monitoring the messages, but we're just saying. But we're super
If
excited.
they don't
ZZQ.
check the team text, they're not reading.
They're also
not
probably
watching this.
Yeah, it's like, they're also
The
probably
team
not watching
text
this.
directly goes to your phone.
But no, it's like Jared is friends with the owner, so that's gonna be a nice, good event. I love ZZQ.
Alex,
like,
we love you so much.
Oh, man.
It's gonna be so good.
every time I go there, it's just like that's one of the few places where you can spend a lot of money, and I just don't feel any feeling about it. Like last night, we went to dinner, spent an amount of money. I was just like, all right. Every time I go to ZZQ, I'm like, All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want my 401k? What do you need?
$100 in smoked meat.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was like,
cool.
yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, run it back one more time. I don't mind that.
I showed up the other day there, and it was like they close at 6 because they run out of all their meat so early, and it was like 5:40.
Nice.
And even if I show up at 5:40 and they've sold out of almost everything, I'm slightly disappointed. But I know that whatever's just at the bottom of the barrel left,
whatever you got,
it's still amazing.
Still
so I
good,
managed to get a half chicken the other day. Still, have you had their pastrami?
I have not had their pastrami.
So they do pastrami, and and maybe I'm wrong, Alex. You can correct me, but I think it used to be maybe a little thinner, possibly, or maybe chunkier. I only had it on a sandwich at one point.
Thinner or chunkier?
Like chunks of. But I only had it on a sandwich one time because it was all that was left. But this time, since there was no brisket, they were just cutting the pastrami into like brisket sized chunk, like
my mouth watering.
Slices.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
yeah.
It's so good.
Say it slower.
That sounds
delicious.
Slice of pastrami, just like the brisket, just like they cook it, same like, and then
Man, I'm so happy right now.
I mean, we're gonna get some of that on Thursday.
Yeah, so I'm pretty happy.
And
they don't have corned beef there. That's not a thing for them.
No, but isn't pastrami really similar?
I think it's like a different spice family.
I got it.
I got some corned beef coming in to me straight out of Cleveland in a couple of weeks, and I cannot tell you how excited I am.
Ooh.
I've eaten corned beef a lot of places, and I like some people are like Cleveland. I'm like, have you been to Cleveland? No. All right, so let's start there.
Who's been to Cleveland? Am I
the
right?
corned beef from Cleveland is the best corned beef I've ever had anywhere, and I've been to places like try this. And
Are
now
they
that I've
known
had
for corned beef? Is it like
like
Hanover's known for tomatoes?
Exactly.
Is Cleveland
yeah,
like it's corned beef?
And what's really funny about them, it's like they all get basically they're coming from like the same butcher, so it's like we're all known. I'm like, well, it's just one butchery that you're all getting it from, but it's incredible. So we got that meat sweats for the summer. Chubby Boy Summer is here.
Oh man, we're about to go to Texas.
We're about to go to
for
Texas.
even more barbecue. Oh my god,
to go to the Source.
I've been trying to lose all this
Like
belly
Justin Bieber
fat.
said, I'm gonna go to the Source.
When do you guys go?
What song is that? August 17th, I think.
So why don't we kick off the barbecue after you get back?
Well, we've got one more burger to do, and then we were gonna move to tacos,
The big one.
and then
Do we have to do tacos?
I kind of really want to do
I mean,
tacos.
we told everybody tacos, and we
Yeah,
want
we've
tacos.
been pushing tacos.
Well, here's what I like.
There's
I like
also
that
a lot
we'll
more
do,
good taco places.
We're gonna do the barbecue, and it's gonna be kind of like a fall time, fall winter time. By the time we do it, and I think that makes more sense.
Oh yeah.
Good point.
We can sit out on the patio at ZZQ. So barbecue's definitely happening now.
Oh yeah, it's definitely happening.
Okay,
now.
cool. So we're gonna
We
do
can sweat
tacos.
outside.
Tacos barbecue wings or tacos wings
Ooh,
barbecue.
nice. 'Cause wings will be right around springtime. I wish I could do
Okay.
it around March Madness time, but we'll work on that.
Spring the wing.
So we already know. I mean, wood and iron
You're
for
getting
sure.
Mike's mic off for saying that. He'll spring the wing. No, they just go shut it
Just
down.
run
Shut
the
it down.
computers,
Shut-
Mike.
shut
Run
it
the
down.
computers.
Shut it down. So I just had a pretty I don't know what's the word, trying scenario. So as you guys know how I feel about Emilio.
Oh yeah.
We've talked about Emilio several 100,000 times. So I am at an open house crushing it because that's what I do in open houses. I'm like, I'm holding babies. I get a
dazzling.
call. Yeah, I'm dazzling at the open house. I get a call. And the cat's like, Emilio's just attacked by yellow jackets. And I'm like, what? I was like, I'll walk out of this open house right now. And so apparently, like, he got into some, and she was like, I turned around, and he had like 17 of them on him.
Amelia's a dog if you
He's a
don't know
tiny
Amelia,
little,
though.
Yeah, he's a tiny
not a
little
baby.
adorable dog.
It's not a baby. It's not a baby. It's like,
What if it was a baby and I like did it? I was like, and I almost left the open house.
Yeah, why weren't they on?
I didn't leave them.
Why weren't
because I
they
was
on
like,
Cat? I mean,
Daddy needs
she
money.
obviously threw the baby. She threw the baby when the Yellow Jackets got on him.
Like
You're
Cat,
on your own, baby.
Cat got like 18, or she got 18. She got like 8 stings. Amelia got like countless number. We gave
You were
him
like
some,
finding bees in your bed.
Yeah, I found like bees in the bed, like
What?
and stuff, like because they like
Burned
were
it
on
down.
him.
This-
You know, like trying like so she like I dumped water on him. I dropped my phone. She was like swat him. Like she was like I picked him up. They were like attacking her in her back when she was like running the house. Some of them got in her house, so I found like dead ones in the house. And then so we got him all set. Gave him some Benadryl. Thank you, Kaylee Sturmer, for the. She's a vet tech. She's our vet tech, and she's also our friend. Helped us out there.
Does she need
And
a house?
then
Sorry,
Daddy did what Daddy does.
you just murdered all of
I
them.
mean, you could not come. I mean, I violated the Chesapeake Bay Watershed Act, all of it. PETA, don't come for me.
Did you get a flamethrower?
I mean, I was like, but the funny thing about this whole thing, so like I was like round for round, like pop, they're coming. I'm like, bing, 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 bing. I grab one, bit it, spit it on the floor, did it in daylight. Everyone's like, do it at nighttime. I'm like, no, I'm doing it at daytime because I want them to see me coming. So kill them all. Here's the crazy thing. I come back outside the next day, just like to check my handiwork, and an animal came, ripped up the nest, and the nest was strewn all over my backyard and my driveway. And I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, did I sleepwalk murder? Like, what happened here? And like, so I called one of my buddies who's got like property out in Goochland. He was like, it was probably a possum who came. He's like, possums are known to like, rip up their nests and eat them. And I was like, was the possum like watching? Like, did we wake him up when he saw the murder?
Yes.
And he was like, don't you mess with Emilio. And then like he came. I mean, it was crazy. I like came outside and it was like, I'm like, what happened here? It was like, looked like the thing exploded. There was like dead bees like in the grass. And so I'm like, I didn't do this. Like the whole nest was like dug completely up, like something excavated it. I was just like, this is a crazy thing going on right now. But
They
don't
mess with
the
the
Parkers.
wrong people.
Yeah, don't come at me.
Too
We
bad
will
he
come
didn't have
for
the
you.
ring or something. He could have had a video or something.
I know that would have been like it, but there's something like really funny about like not knowing what happens and like just coming out and seeing this carnage and just being so confused. And I was like, what happened here? I mean, it was just like, this doesn't make sense. I mean, like, who does this? But it's good to know that Mother Nature's got my back.
There you go.
Other than the bees.
All right. Well, are we ready for the deep dive?
Who run it?
We always do such a long intro. Sometimes I gotta
People love it. That's how
I
you
just
get
gotta
it.
I just gotta be like, hey man, we just gotta not talk for half an hour just to talk. So let's
Yeah.
deep dive. What do we got?
Yeah. I told my squad we gonna make it out. One way or the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I had some hoop dreams, but no jumper like a madam. My pen is too clean, so I had to stick with rapping. My life was hella deep, dog, you couldn't even fathom. My goals are like Twitter, you can see I'm staying at 'em. I'm trying to be the GOAT. Every day I'm chasing ghosts like I'm Danny Phantom. And I
Who
can
is
sell a
this?
nigga, but I'd rather sell a hit. It's my niche.
He makes
And
all of
business
the-
at the
he
beat,
makes
so
all the
I had to
tracks.
hit the switch. And now you're all in, I ain't on the fence. All these
Gonna
rappers
fade?
peep my
We're gonna
game,
fade?
I ain't talking Twitch. Man, I'm trying to get rich. I'm
So who
trying
is
to
this?
make my wrist match the plaques.
It's a royalty free.
So how do you like do these guys do they just do it as royalty free to hope they like get publicity? Is that what happens?
That's how they make their money. They write their songs to people who use them and stuff. So it's a royalty free site and creators can use it. And YouTubers use it all day long.
So you just have a membership to the royalty
a
free
very
site.
expensive membership.
And
yes.
then all of the people that put it on, anytime it gets used, part of that membership money, then they'll pay them. Got it.
Yeah.
I was really going to go
So
with
shout
this
out
was
to
Mike.
this guy.
I was going to like, no, this is Mike.
The band I was in, we did a rap little EP.
Oh man, I
just
would
for
love to hear
I actually
that.
knew
It's pretty
this
good.
because
It's
my
pretty good.
cousin.
That's pretty good. That's pretty
So like I actually knew this because my cousin does something like that. He like writes like songs and like rap songs for like stuff like this and then just sells them off and then sometimes he performs them. It's a weird niche thing that he got into, but
Well,
You
the
wanna
great
add
thing
that
is the
to our
site's
resume?
updating.
no.
Just start another business model.
like real estate rap.
Done.
The site is great because it updates all the time. So there's new stuff in there all the time.
Oh, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, you would
You
hope
need
so. And expect they're going to start. All right, what's our deep dive?
All right, so today is the day that we're going to talk about something that's very important to a lot of new agents, not just new agents, but you're trying to think about how do I grow my business? How do I move down the road? And a big part of that in 2021, frankly, is going to be internet leads.
Yeah. Well, at least last year was huge because COVID just shut everything down. So
Oh man, if you were not utilizing internet leads during COVID, I know what you're doing because it's like you're
weren't
not doing
happy
open houses.
houring.
Yeah, you're not networking. You're not. God knows you're not door knocking. Like, oh, look, get away from me! So it's like it's internet leads or bust. But the big thing that we wanted to talk about is like one, where do you get the internet leads?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Two, what companies are out there? What makes one better than the other? Is there, we'll talk a little bit about that. And then three is what and I'm not going to give you guys too much because some of this is proprietary knowledge that the Davis Group uses for our team. It's just, what do I do? How do I convert them? What's it? So we're going to give you a framework of what you should be doing. And we'll talk about why a lot of people fail at them.
Yeah. And on that note, yeah, we probably won't mention the softwares and CRMs that we actually use, but if you want to hit us up privately on them, we can refer you over and hook you up and help you out on all of that stuff.
Yeah.
On a one-on-one basis. You can contact us pretty easily. 804-536-6100.
804-274-9016.
There you go. So if you do want to know more details as you listen to this on what CRMs to buy and what softwares to use and what
Sure.
artificial intelligence and all that stuff and coaching plans, we can do all of these things.
Don't talk about Skynet.
All right.
Where do you get them from?
So there's a
The
number of
internet.
options, obviously. You know, we see so many posts on real estate mastermind pages and things like that say, hey, I'm a new agent. How much should I budget and where should I buy leads from? What's worth it, right? So the real estate arch nemesis comes to mind right off the bat, Zillow, right? I mean, Zillow is single-handedly trying to get rid of realtors while realtors are paying them money,
do so.
hand over fist to do so pretty much for leads. But that is typically probably the most expensive source and one of the biggest sources, right? Zillow also owns Trulia. If you're a realtor, I hope you already realize that. But if you don't, those are the two same conglomerates, right? They bought each other out, and then they have other sites out there. So you can pay per lead on things like Zillow. You've got Realtor.com. You've got Homes.com. You've got
HomeSnap.
Yeah, well, HomeSnap, but that's a little different.
I'm just thinking about like all the people
But
that
yeah.
email me nonstop.
Redfin? Did you say Redfin?
So Redfin is different.
A little slightly different.
So that places to buy leads, those are kind of your big housing sites that you can buy leads, right? And they're going to range. You know, when you look at Zillow per zip code changes, but on average, the last couple times I've talked to Zillow, where they bombard me, it's about $350 per phone
lead.
number, per lead that they charge. Now, you get into something like a homes.com or a realtor.com, typically those are going to be more like $40, $50 a lead. But again, you could be in a market where maybe your zip code has 3 houses in it and it's like $5. I don't know. I'm just saying for where we are in our market, right? I don't know about outside of Richmond, Central Virginia, different states, country, other bigger metro areas, but you know, $50, $60 a lead. And then you've got things like your CRMs where you can do your own advertising, whether it be through social media, whether it be through Facebook, whether it be through your actual CRM, things like HomeSnap that Galen mentioned, where that HomeSnap is going to essentially advertise you on Google so that you don't have to do it, right? And those leads, if you're generating them yourself, typically are going to range probably about $5 to $10 per lead. And then, Mike, you had mentioned Redfin. There's stuff out there like Redfin and I think Movado. That's not the watch company, right? What's the house site?
Yeah, I think it is Movado.
I think Movado is the house one. Redfin, and now even Zillow is doing like Zillow Flex. And essentially how those work is you just pay a referral fee. So you're not having to pay a monthly out-of-pocket or per lead cost, but you are going to pay them typically, say, a 30%, 20%, 25% referral fee on sale. So those are kind of cool because
I think one of the reasons, and I've got a client who he kind of put me into this, but the reason I brought up HomeSnap is that HomeSnap was just purchased by CoStar.
Okay.
And their down the road goal is to be a larger competitor for Zillow as far as, so I think that's the aim that they have. He said, he was like, that's what we'll see in probably the next 2 or 3 years. And they're trying to be slightly more realtor friendly.
Yep.
Which I'm sure Zillow will argue that we are very realtor friendly. We just want to put you out of business with your money. So, but you know, obviously there's probably a better tagline that they use when they're doing that. But that's one of the reasons why I thought about HomeSnap. But let's real quick kind of talk a little bit because we mentioned houses that sell leads, and then there's the referral sites. If I am John Q Realtor, I just started out in the business, Jared, and I say, hey, Jared, do I go referral or houses that sell leads? Which would you recommend to me?
Well, if you're brand new, most likely there's no site out there that's going to give you referral-based leads because they have no track record that you know how to close or know what you're doing. So, like Zillow Flex, I want to say you have to have a monthly spend of at least $3,000,
$3,000,
just to even be considered for the program.
And you have to have a rating metric too. It's like 95%.
Yeah, but what I will tell you is that every person I know that runs Zillow Flex was spending more like $20,000 a month with Zillow. So chances are, new agent, you're not getting anywhere close.
You don't got that.
We don't even buy Zillow leads because I just hate Zillow personally. But I don't think they would let us in even at our production just because we don't buy leads from them right now. If you're something like Redfin or Movado or some of these others, Estately, they typically want you to go through an interview process. Some of them actually have realtors as well. Redfin runs like salaried real estate agents and things like that. But they'll send you the overflow if you're in a market where they have agents, and if they're not in that area, then they just only use referral agents. But I want to say they want you to be doing... It's millions. They want you to already be doing millions in volume and have some stuff. I interviewed with them to be able to get in. So if you're brand new, you're probably going to have to buy leads. So then what you have to figure out is, one, how much can I actually budget? And then on top of how much I budget, how many leads do I need and can I handle? Because that's what's going to let you start to figure out, right? I mean, if I can handle 10 leads a month, but my budget is $500, then Zillow doesn't really ring the ticket because that's going to get you one lead, right? But if you say, all right, well, I can do $10 a lead, you know what I mean? Well, now for every $100 you're going to get 10 leads. Well, now you got 50 leads with a $500 budget, right? So from a money standpoint, you may say, well, I need to run this thing and get 50 leads versus this one, because what's the conversion rate? And that's the other thing that you got to figure out, right? Is
how well you're going to do. How much is the average agent? What does your top producers do who are doing the exact same thing? How often are they converting these leads?
Yeah, so we're about to talk about what we need to do to convert. But one thing you want to figure out when you're budgeting stuff is, all right, if I can close, say, 10% of these, right? How many do I need to do the amount of deals I want, right? I mean, Zillow is not 100% closing ratio. It's probably like a 20, 25 maybe. I mean, I would say probably 20 at most.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Which means you need at least 5 leads a month to even start to close one with the ratio, right? So if you can't budget at least a couple grand a month, you're probably not going to get any return on investment out of it, right? So then you look at something like maybe a $10 or $5 lead. Maybe it's less quality. Maybe the closing ratio is only 5%. But if you can get 100 of those a month, well, that's potentially 5 deals for you. But just because the closing ratio may be 5% or 20% or 30%, does that mean you're going to close 30% if you don't do what you're supposed to do?
What is your own personal close rate?
Yeah. So what do you need to do? And Galen is so good at this. Galen is just a phone machine.
I like talking to the peoples.
He's so good at it. So Galen, what do you think is crucial when it comes to conversion? Because that's what this podcast is. That's what this deep dive is today. So what do you think is point number one?
Well,
to
before,
conversion?
mentally for me, before I go in there, you kind of have to decide, like, is this a lead or a prospect? And what I mean by that is like something comes in, and if you don't ever talk to them, it's like, is that a lead, right? So it's like, by definition it is, but you need to be able to talk to the person, and that's when we talk about speed to lead. That to me is the most important thing you're ever going to do. When it comes in, if you wait 10 minutes, if you wait 10 hours, if you wait 10 days, right, you're looking at a graph that is just going abysmally downhill, because the likelihood of them, you closing that is just going so far away. So that's the number one thing, speed to lead. And it's got to be a phone call. I think for me, it's got to be a phone call. Texts are great. Emails are great. I was talking to an agent yesterday, and she was like, does it have to be a phone call? And I said, yeah, it does. I mean, they need to see these missed calls on their phone, because texts are so easy. I mean, think about how many texts we have ignored sitting here this morning.
I ignore so many texts. Now, don't get me wrong. Texting can be easier for people to reply to, especially if they're in meetings. But you want to get that call out, that voicemail out, so then people check it, they hear from you, they see why you're calling, and then when that text does come through, or that email, now they can connect the dots.
So what I tell every agent, make a phone call. If they don't answer, send a text message. That's usually that's my 1-2 punch. That's immediately what I do. Phone call, text message, because then I want to send him hey, this is Galen Parker. I just left you a voicemail. I know you're probably busy. Just want to follow up. Boom. All right, next day, phone call again. They don't answer. Email. Hey, I don't know if you saw my text message or my voicemail yesterday. Just wanted to follow up with you. Right? Boom. Third day, phone call again. Voicemail. Hey, just wanted to follow up with you. This is Galen. So this is consecutive days. And so I don't want to hear the nonsense a lot of people say, I don't want to bother them.
Yeah, so there's two things that come up a lot of times with our new agents and even seasoned agents that don't do good at this. First one is when this lead comes in and they hit our website and we get a registration. am I really supposed to call the second they come in? Isn't it like really creepy that this person just registered on our website and now I'm like, hey, I see you're on my website. How can I help you? But the reality is this: if the people are not looking to buy, or they're not qualified to buy, or they're just jerks, and they answer, you're going to get to write that off your list right away.
Yeah,
And now you don't have
remove
to
it.
call them 9 more times this week. But it's fresh in their head. They know exactly who you are. They know the website you're on. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Great. This is not one of those 10% that's going to close. So you just wipe it off. But then the flip side is you call, you leave that message. Now the issue is, like Galen said, am I bugging them if I call them again tomorrow and then I email them and then I send them a text? Again, no. Because it takes how many touches before someone realizes who you are, pretty much, to try to convert?
7 to 9 touches.
7 to 9. So most agents will make a call, and then maybe they'll shoot a text or an email, and then maybe they send another email, but they never want to call. They get so... I don't know what the deal is.
I don't mind when they do that, because then when I call once and they're just like, oh, you know what? I was looking for someone.
And that's the other people. On my team, I mind very much so. If you're not on my team, then I don't care what you do.
Don't call them
because
at all if
if
you're not
you're
on our
the
team.
guy that texted them 5 times and called them twice, then when we go to make our first call and we're number 8, we're going to convert your lead and we're going to sell a house, right? But that happens so often. I mean, and it happens to the best of us. I had a lead yesterday that emailed me back, and I was emailing her a home search steadily. I'd talked to her 3 or 4 times. Maybe the last time was a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, but she just hadn't been seeing anything. And then I just got a random email yesterday that was like, hey, you can stop the search. I'm under contract now. It's super annoying, for me, because I was trying to help her. But hey, maybe I should have been blasting her every week or a couple times a week, even though I didn't think she was ready yet, even though there was no houses. We had never set up an appointment. What she wanted was kind of tough to find. I was guiding her. She was talking to me. I should have just stayed on top of it. But
Sure.
somebody
Yeah.
probably did. Maybe she walked into an open house. Maybe they said, we can write it. I'll write this second. And maybe she said, well, I haven't heard from this guy in 2 weeks,
Can't remember. Is it Jerry?
Exactly, right? So you don't want that to happen to
Yeah.
you. You want to get in there and convert until they either tell you to sell them a house or go kill yourself.
Sell or die. Those are your
That's
two
it.
options. I was telling someone last week, they're like, what am I bugging them? I'm like, think about someone walks into a restaurant. Could you imagine how absurd if the maitre d' or the server was just like, man, I don't want to go up to them and bug them. They just walked into the restaurant. Like, no, you immediately walk them like, how can I help you? Can I sit you? How many people in your party? And they say, 3 people. All right, so you sit them at the table. And then she was like, well, you call back the next day. I'm like, yeah, what if you don't call the next day? Well, that's the waiter who doesn't come by and ask them for it. Like, do you guys want any drinks? Like, how absurd will all these people look like? They're like, man, I don't want to bug this guy. He
Yeah.
just came to this. I'm
You're
like, no,
trying to sell
he
a
came
house.
into the restaurant. He registered on your website, so you know what he wants. He is hungry. He's looking at houses, so he's looking through the menu. At some point, you need to be there to be like, hey, how can I help you? What can I do? I was like, don't ever think of you're gonna bug them. Like, if I'm at a restaurant and they never show up, I'm like, I'm leaving and going to a different restaurant where someone's going to help me. That's the exact same principle for people who are on your website. If you do not eventually reach out to them, they're going to go to somewhere else. They're going to go to an open house. They're going to meet me. I'll be dazzling. I'll be doing parlor tricks. I'll be holding the baby, and I'm going to close them because you didn't do that. So for people on our team, we threaten your lives. I mean, we don't threaten your lives.
I know. But sometimes it's going to take a long time, right? Because someone may have just started looking when this lead comes in, wherever it comes from. They may say, I've got 6 months left on my lease. I can't break it, whatever it is. And maybe they don't answer their phone. Maybe they don't reply to the text, right? But that doesn't mean that they're not interested or won't be interested, right? How many times does someone you actually like and care about call you and you don't call them back, right? I'm sure your mom's called you before and you just didn't answer and you forgot to call back. Does that mean you don't love your mom? Does it mean that you're not going to ever talk to her again? No, of course not. You got busy, right? And that goes across the board for everybody. So you're a stranger. Maybe this person's not ready to buy yet, but they're looking, they're perusing. So you call and you text, you don't get anything. You call again, you don't get anything. Stay on it, because what may happen is in 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, that lease gets near to an end. And then who do they call? Well, they call the person
Ghostbusters.
that's been on top of it for the last 6 months, because you're the person that they think about. And one way you can do this, and if I jump ahead, then just backtrack me. But one of the ways that we do this that's so crucial if you're going to be calling internet leads is to have some kind of CRM system.
No, this is a perfect. I was just going to piggyback on the fact that you got to be patient because, we've seen some numbers that say 9 months it probably takes for an internet lead. I've seen others say 6 to 24 months. But as Jared was mentioned, if it is longer in those timelines, then you're going to need to have some method of tracking them. Like your notebook paper is not going to remind you that this person needs a phone call in 2 months, in 4 months, in 5 months. So you need to have a CRM that's going to light you up a little bit. And I like the one we use. It sends you an email. It has tasks, and you can constantly check it. I like ours because it allows me to check other people's tasks.
Yeah.
It lets me see like, hey, you were supposed to call this guy like 2 weeks ago. No phone call. And I can look. I'm like, well, he's looking at the website now more than ever. I'm like, maybe these things. But you need to have some way to keep yourself accountable because, frankly, if you try to rely on your memory, you're going to fail.
Yep, and we can get you a discount on our CRM if you want to reach out to us and find out what we use. But the thing is, with that CRM, if you've got leads coming in that aren't auto-funneling into the CRM, let's say you get on with a referral site, and then let's say you're buying some leads from Realtor.com, and let's say you've got something going. Maybe you're with EXP, so they give you something to run ads or whatever your broker is running ads. The issue is that if you have all of these different databases housing leads, you're never going to be able to keep track of them all, right? Because you're going to go into your Realtor.com account and you're going to see, all right, I've got 5 leads this month, 10 leads this month. How detailed are the notes? Well, we know you can't flag reminders. You can't do tasks. And then if you're checking them in Realtor.com and Homes.com and Zillow and whatever the referral source is, you've got all of these different things.
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to keep track of it all, and there's no way you're going to remember everything. So if you can take those leads and then you can punch them into a CRM and tag them, this is where this lead came from, this is what it is. Now you can start taking detailed notes. Now you can start making detailed agendas and reminders so that when you log in, it's just like social media. You get on Facebook and you've got your little notification. Here's all the things that have happened while I was sleeping that involve me. Well, it's the same thing. You go into your CRM and now you have all the notifications. Hey, I talked to this guy last week. I've got a reminder to call him this week and see if he got pre-approved. Talked to this guy. He was trying to figure out what was going on with his lease. He was going to talk to his wife. Supposed to call him back right this second, right? And if you don't do that, then what happens when you start to get 100, 200, 300?
Who is this person, right?
That's it.
You're like, pulling something like, all right, I always tell people, take the most detailed notes that you can. I mean, anything that they say, write it down because you're going to have 50 Johns and 20 Sarahs and all these people.
Has multiple kids, has this, has that, whatever talking point.
And then they give you, so you can be like, oh, hey, how's your kid? Right? Like birthdays, like, oh, well, I'm sorry I was out of town. I just celebrated my birthday last week. Oh, okay, well, now you know a little fun fact about them. You can set a reminder and be like, hey, man, you're coming up on, just things that help you stay in touch. And that's what it's called about incubating your leads because essentially you want to talk to them so often and be so ingrained in things that it would feel awkward for them to use anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. I always tell people, think about just popular stores in each category that you can think of. So I'll say, how many construction stores can you think of?
Home Depot,
right?
Lowe's.
Yeah, and then you think, all right, grocery stores.
Food Lion and Publix.
All right.
Walmart.
Yeah.
You can say Walmart for all of them.
Yeah, that's true. How about a shoe store?
Foot Locker.
Any others?
Journeys.
Okay. All right. So here's the thing.
I love this game.
After like 1 or 2, best fast food.
Best fast food. Obviously Subway.
That's objective. Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, the tuna.
Chick-fil-A.
Tuna fish Subway. I'll stand on this.
But here's the point. You're only going to think, every single human is only going to think of a handful of items in each category.
Yeah, it's
right?
usually 5.
And it is like, there's hardly ever a time when you'll think about more than 5. But in reality, 1 to 2 are going to stick out to you.
Yeah.
So realtors are the same. If I played this game and I said, name as many realtors as you can, me being a realtor, I can name a lot of realtors because I deal with them. I'm friends with them. I employ 23 of them. So obviously I can name a lot off the top of my head. But to the consumer, the guy that wants to buy or sell a house, he's only going to be able to think about 1 or 2.
Yeah, I would argue that like 2 would be pushing it because they're just like, well, there's my aunt And then there's this guy I
Then
went to
Galen's
college
been
with.
calling me like
Yeah,
crazy,
exactly.
right?
And there's this Galen who keeps emailing, texting, and sending pictures.
So not only do you want them to think about you, that's why we run a podcast and we run a vlog and we run a food fight on eating pizza that has nothing to do with real estate because people see it all the time. And we've got 23 agents that are pushing our signs out and pushing our publicity out. And we do that because I want every single person that knows Jared Davis or Galen Parker, when they hear about a house, all they can get out of their head is us. It's the only thing they can think about because they say every time I wake up, I just see Jared and Galen eating pizza and then selling houses
It could
and
be
then
a nightmare,
flipping
but
stuff.
they're gonna know you.
Yeah, and then buying another apartment building and then buying another rental house and then flipping another house. Right? That's how we've built our brand. But if you're calling these internet leads cold, that's exactly what you need to do. You're building that brand so that every day when they think, today may be the day, today I may find a house, right?
I just
They
got
think,
some money. All
Yeah.
right, well, how do I get this? I need to get all this stuff covered, and just like, oh,
yeah, do I call our moron Aunt Sally or do we call Galen, who's been on top of it, sending us houses, calling us,
he's
checking in?
infiltrated our social media
That's
everywhere.
it.
It's
I,
like,
I
man,
see him on my Facebook now. It's been
LinkedIn
being-
friends. Yeah.
That's it. So that is how you turn internet leads. And even people that may have had agents in the past, right? Where is that agent now? See, if they're not touching base, if they're not having client parties for these people, if they're not dropping pop buys, if they're not touching base each year just to see how you're doing, right?
Yeah.
This person hasn't heard from this realtor in years now. So now they go to sell, and it's the same principle. They think about realtors, right? And they say, well, this guy was pretty good 5 years ago, but I don't even know if he's a realtor
Is he still in the
anymore.
business?
Is he in the business?
He's still in the business.
But this guy, Galen, he seems to
He's
be a
definitely
go-getter.
in the business.
He's a go-getter, right? So that is part of internet leads, right? Is just staying on top of these people. Galen, what else you got?
So speed to lead, CRM, incubate them, follow up, and if they give you here's a free tip.
This is all free
These are free
tips,
tips.
actually.
These are free tip.
I think these are all free
A
tips.
lot of times people will give you dates. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's probably about 6 months."
It's half that.
Ah, you ruined it. I was like, "Wait, half that.
I know the answer. I know the answer.
Star pupil, ladies and gentlemen.
That's
But
right.
exactly, he's exactly right. If they say, "Oh yeah, maybe a year from now," call them in 6 months. If they say, probably the next quarter, call them in 2 months, right? So you want to remind them almost. Hey,
They're lying to
are
you.
you still on track for next? You know how many times I've called someone and be like, "Hey, you said that maybe in 6 months that you were thinking about. Are we still on track for 3 months?" So like, actually,
Like, we bought the day after we talked to you.
yeah, it's
You're like,
I-
what?
Yeah, exactly. I owned a house at that point. No. But a lot of times they're like, we were just gonna start this weekend. This is crazy that you called me. I've had so many where like, oh, it's crazy that you're calling me right now. I'm like, yeah, because I don't trust your 6
Yeah,
month.
because at the end of the day, it's going to take them a month to 2 months just to close on a deal.
Yeah.
And then it's probably going to take them anywhere from a week to 4 weeks, a month, 2 months to find the house. So you think if they want to be in a house in 6 months, they really need to be starting to look in 2 or 3. I mean, they got to get pre-approved. You got to make sure that's running. They got to start looking. They're going to
Fix
lose
any credit issues.
probably lose some offers along the process, get one under contract, and then they hit their 6. So at the end of the day, that's a great tip. Always getting with people way earlier than they think that you need to get with them. And then again, it's just a reason to stay on top of them because all you're going to do is you're just going to call them up and just say, hey, I know you had mentioned you were 6 months out, but it's been a couple months since we talked. Just wanted to see if anything's changed, see how
base,
things are going,
see
see
how
how
you're
you're doing. Just reminding you that I'm the best realtor there is and don't want you to be thinking about anybody else,
Don't you
right?
think about nobody else.
That's right. Let me be that guy.
No,
that you're thinking
I think
about.
that to me is like such a good one to really think about because that goes back. You've got to eradicate that mentality of bugging people and I don't call too often because you know what, your mortgage company, they don't mind bugging you when you don't pay them. And I was
Well,
like,
and you're just trying to become
Yeah.
friends with people.
I'm trying to help you.
You know, like if you call a friend, you're never like, oh man.
If you call a friend once a year, are they really a friend? It's
yeah.
like-
Well, even if you called a friend once a week, you would never think like, man, I'm really bugging this guy. You're friends. You're talking.
well, unless you call Jared, right, Mike?
Sorry, I don't like
Right,
being
Mike?
called.
Hey, Mike.
I'm not. I don't love being when people
Mike,
call me. For the
Mike,
most
how does
part.
Jared feel about being
I'm
called?
in a car a lot, guys. Okay, I'm in a car a lot.
You know, it's funny, like that I call Jared, but Jared knows when I call him. It's like one, it's generally not work related.
And it's gonna be like
whatsoever.
2 seconds.
Yeah, and it's very brief. It's like I rarely call Jared for like work stuff because
There's some people that call me. They're like, got a quick question, and I just
2
know
hours later.
that I'm going to answer
In
this quick question.
1875, there was a man named Real Estate.
It was like I was
oh,
watching
goodness.
Ant-Man the other night with Jackie, and his Spanish partner, whatever, every time he tells a story, he's like, "Well, it all started when," and he starts going, and it's like, "Nah," he's like, "No, get to the point." That's almost every
I
phone
wanna go.
call.
That guy's he steals that scene.
100%.
Anyways.
So yeah,
But no, Michael
call them,
Saracen.
be their friends, everything else. Now we're running about 5 minutes before we wrap this thing up, so I'm gonna throw out another thing. CRMs, if you're using a good one, you really need to have either action plans in place, templates in place, email, text message support, all of the things that are going to contact these people when you or your team don't. Because as good as you think you are, all of our artificial intelligence and action plans crush you. I mean, by a landslide. Because what's going to happen is when this guy doesn't answer his phone on day 2, 3, 4, 5, the next week comes, you got another slew of leads. Maybe you call that guy another once or twice, right? But at some point in the process, you stop calling, you stop texting, and you kind of give up. But now, does that mean that that lead is worthless? No, because if you've got an action plan set up, if you've got templates set up, and you can get them through our softwares with different coaching programs, I can put you in touch with different people. If you want to expand this stuff, just reach out to us. But what that allows you to do is make your calls, make your initial texts, make your emails. But then on top of all that, for the next year, they're going to keep getting emails and texts that are essentially targeted for them. You can pick your plan, whether they're a buyer you've never talked to,
or seller,
or a buyer that needs nurturing, or a seller that says they're not ready yet, and you just put them on that plan, and then you archive them in your CRM. And now as you build this database, as you're in this business and years go by, now you've got this database with thousands of people in it. So instead of having to go buy a bunch of new leads, which I'm not saying you're not going to keep buying leads always,
sure,
but instead of having to go up the budget and buy even more and even more, now what starts to happen is you get this database, and after a year or two, people start replying to these action plans when they're ready. People start getting re-engaged when they're ready.
Circle back with people who already know you.
And now people will start to circle back, because now you'll get people where they've been getting a home search from you every day for 2 years, and now they're ready, and they call you and they say, "Jared, you have stayed on top of me for years. You've been sending me custom houses. I've never even talked to you, but you take the time every day to send me houses." Well, I don't even know who you are, John Doe, right? This system has been sending you houses. It's been sending you text messages and emails and everything else talking about how much we want to help you. And then you just start waiting for the response, and you just get ready. You just have to be ready. When it comes in, get ready to close it.
I love it. That's such a cool technology way that you've got to utilize. And sometimes you have to purchase some of those things, but you can also create them yourselves. I was telling the agents about just like creating your own templates and just like knowing what to do, saying like, hey, you can create all these things yourself, have these little follow-ups, so every time you call them, you don't have to like, hello, just hit the button, boom, that goes out to this. I'm like, it's just all about being organized, and that is something that I can help you with.
That's it. So software, organization, actually finding out where you want to get your leads from, right? Making sure you're running your conversions. Can you afford the amount of leads you need to convert? If not, can you up the budget? Any other things we need to cover with
call these people? I mean,
leads?
I just call these people. That I cannot say it enough. Call them. You've got to give them, because essentially, if you never call them, if you never talk to them, they're not really a lead to me, right? It's like they're just a prospect that you don't know anything about.
And they're like, great, these I can use their website and look at houses.
Yeah,
I don't know who runs the website. I don't know anything about it.
With them.
Yeah, I don't know anybody at this company. I'm just using their website, looking at their houses.
I'm like, they're doing it to you, so you might as well follow it, and they're using your stuff for free.
I always say, you registered at my website. That's why I'm calling you. My personal. I didn't buy this lead from somebody. You registered at my personal website, and now I'm giving you a personal call. And if that's not good customer service, I don't know what is. If you're mad at me, then I can just.
This is like a little funny story. I had like a lady who was like, why are you calling me? And yada, yada, yada. And I just said to her, could you imagine how my sellers would feel if they found out that people were registering to look about their house and I didn't bother to reach out to them? And that stopped her dead in her tracks. And she was like, oh, yeah. Oh. And I was like, imagine if you hired me to sell your house. wouldn't you want me to follow up on everyone to get you the most money possible? And she was like, yeah, that makes a good point. And I'm like,
You're like, so you're ready to buy
has
now?
Been brought to you by Galen Parker.
Yeah, so are you ready to buy now? Or are you still a jerk? All right.
She was not. She like totally got cool after that. She was like, oh, it now makes sense to me. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. So, and the last thing for me, I guess, don't get discouraged when people are mean, because there's plenty of mean people.
He's mean. No, I'm just kidding.
I can be very mean. But no, for real, you're going to call most people, you're not going to get them on the phone. Then the majority of people you do get on the phone are going to be like, I'm not interested. Leave me alone. Why are you calling me? I hate sales calls, yada, yada, yada. But the whole point of dialing for dollars is getting to that one that is good and pushing all the others out of the way. Trash them. Get rid of them. Oh, great. Your credit score is 480. I hope we never talk again. Awesome. Who cares? Right? Oh, you've been renting for 20 years and would never buy a house because you think the market's crazy and it's a bubble. Great. Go put tinfoil on. Have a good life. I don't need to talk to you, right? But when you're nice and sincere and you say, wow, thank you for reaching out. You guys are on the ball. I'm looking at this house. It's really pretty. This is what we're looking for. This is what we love. Do you think you can help us? Great. Now it's all worth it. All of those crazy people.
Absolutely.
Don't let the crazy people distract you from getting the money that you need off of your leads. You're going to get the good ones. Don't be discouraged. Forget them. Trash them. Move on.
Junk them.
And convert. That's
Nice.
how you convert. You get rid of the junk, you convert what's good, and then you crush it.
If you need help, let us know.
That's it.
Jared, if they need help, how do they reach you?
804-536-6100. Instagram _ The Davis Group. You can find us on YouTube. Maybe you're watching this on YouTube. You can also find us on Facebook. We're very Googleable. Galen?
You can Google me, Galen Parker, but you can call me. My personal cell phone number is 804-274-9016.
And this has been another episode of RVA Real Estate Talk. Thank you for listening.
If you have a real estate question that you would like to ask Jared or Galen, reach out to them at jared@centralvarealty.com or Galen@centralvarealty.com. Who knows, it may even be featured on an upcoming episode.